It's time for Windows Weekly. The embargo is off. We can now talk about what's new with Blue. The details with Mary Jo and Paul right after this.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com. This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley, episode 314, recorded May 30th, 2013. BLUE-SHAKA-LAKA. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Go to My PC from Citrix. Go to My PC connects you directly to your Office Mac or PC from any other computer or from your iPad or iPhone too. Sign up for a 30-day free trial today at gotomypc.com. Use the promo code WINDOWS. And by Warby Parker Eyewear. Get boutique quality, classically crafted eyewear at revolutionary prices. For a free home try-on of 5 stylish frames of your choice, plus special expedited delivery, go to warbyparker.com and use the code WINDOWS. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show where we talk about everything that have to do with the Microsoft. You know, I got to change the background to green here. I don't know how it got to be blue. Paul Thurrott's here from Mary Jo Foley. Paul Thurrott from the Supersite for Windows, winsupersite.com. Mary Jo Foley from allaboutmicrosoft.com, the ZDNet blog.
Damn it. Can I just point something out?
What's the matter,
Mary Jo
Paul?
Today is now out-bluing me as well.
She looks
not only
better in every way.
Colorful than I am, but even her blue top is more blue than my blue top.
Sorry.
What can we say, Paul? I wore gray just so you wouldn't feel bad. Here, let me take the color out of the wall.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel better? We're all grim and gray.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I can't do it. I'm turning up the blue. The blue's back. More blue. No, I want to be green. This is a green show.
It's a good day to have blue, though.
Why?
That's for sure.
Oh, Windows Blue. Blue's
Yes.
Clues. Well, let's hold off because I guess there was a first look. But item 1 on our rundown today is very
Last
important.
minute edition.
It's very important. We now know the fact. The truth is out there. The iPad is a PC.
Yeah.
What?
Taken right from the horse's mouth. Is that the phrase?
It's not a device.
This is what Frank Shaw said today.
So
He was apparently very excited to be at All Things D or whatever, even though Microsoft doesn't actually have an official presence speaking.
they weren't
and he
interviewing
wrote
him. He was
just in the audience like a commoner. Yeah. No, he wrote a blog post, and in it he mentions this quote that I put in here, which basically says that he saw that people were using iPads in the crowd, as they would, and often like a PC with a keyboard attached.
You should get out more often, Frank. He just realized this, huh?
No, I don't think it's fair to say he just realized it. But I think it's important that he communicated it.
On the official blog, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we should say Frank X. Shaw is the corporate vice president for corporate communications in the corporation.
Remember at the end of the Return of the King when the mortar opened up and the guy came out on the horse? That's Frank Shaw. No. Frank is saying.
I was wondering where you were going on this.
I was, too. I'm like,
Frank's a great. He is the head of communications.
Yeah,
for
corporate
Microsoft.
communications. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Now, it is relevant because the debate, a little bit of a debate of over PC sales was, are we in the post-PC era? Is tablet computing taking sales away from PCs? If you call it a PC, well, then the point is moot. It's just another computer.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of navel-gazing on my part and others when the iPad came out, trying to figure out, where does this thing kind of fit into the scheme of things. And I would say, the first year or two of the iPad, the first year it was a little unclear because the iPad clearly didn't have everything it needed to compete head-to-head with with a PC, but yet, obviously was enough for a lot of people. As they added iWork and other productivity-type solutions, it became a little less clear. And then for a little while there, it seemed like, what Frank Shaw just said was pretty obvious. But, the thing I guess the small exception I take to this is that the volume seller for tablets going forward now and going forward is actually small tablets, like 7, 8-inch tablets. And, I'm not really sure those are technically PCs, but anyway, again, I guess I'll be questioning this for the rest of my life, maybe. But yeah, these computing devices. He's basically saying it's PC.
I'm with you. When I first saw the iPad, I think for the first year or so, I said it's a consumption device. It's not a creativity device, and to some degree, I think it is. I think when you do as I have done and attach a keyboard to it and try to kind of pretend it's a laptop, you're really kind of putting a square peg in a slightly roundish hole. Yeah,
but you know what? The problem is people hear things like consumption device, and to a certain kind of person, that is a threat. Like you've just said something really bad, and that's not. I think that distinction is actually fair. It doesn't mean that you can't be productive on it. It just means that the majority of the activity on the thing is consumption.
Maybe
even netbooks were primarily consumption devices. I bet.
Make them feel better if I said a smartphone is primarily a consumption device.
Oh, you're going to freak out a lot of people when you see that.
I mean, except for phone calls, I guess you text on it. Doing email on it is not ideal. I do a little.
Look, we do a lot of everything on these things. I was just thinking about this literally over the past 24 hours working on the Windows Phone book, that the activities you can do on this phone are so varied that it's kind of hard to draw the line between what is work and what is...
Well, and you push a phone harder, and I guess this is true of tablets too, because you want it to be everything. You've got it, so you don't want to have to carry around a laptop or other device.
So, I mean, I don't know if this is going to trigger any changes at IDC or Gardner or whatever, but...
You want me to give you the paranoid interpretation?
Sure.
Because of these new Microsoft ad campaign comparing Windows 8 tablets, the Asus Vivo, to an iPad. This is Microsoft now wants to say, whereas they probably didn't want to say before, they wanted to say, oh, it's just a toy. Now they want to say, no, it's a productivity tool, and it's a subpar productivity tool. There's no Office. You can't do PowerPoint. Yeah, it's a PC. It's just a crappy PC. I think that has a little to do with this, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But
and you remember, they've been actually saying all along. Remember when the Surface was coming out? They kept saying PCs are tablets, and you guys shouldn't call the Surface a tablet either. It's a PC.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Yeah. So.
And by the way, calling it a PC is also an indictment of the phrase post-PC world. We're not in a post-PC world. The iPad is a PC.
Right. It's just and so is the smartphone, really, and it's just a different form factor. It's mobile.
Yeah. Right.
We win again, Leo. Once again, trailblazing the way to the future.
Yes, or something. So let's talk about Blue, because the official first look is out. This is so to get people.
It's so nice to see them finally catching up.
We've had downloads before, but none of these were legit. They were leaks, right?
Yes.
Right.
So
we knew a lot because of those leaks, right?
Is everything that we knew true?
Everything we knew is true. So, I mean, that's kind of nice. I think the big deal, though, this week is just that a couple of days ago, Mary Jo had a nice post about some of the things that she saw coming in what we're calling the milestone preview build. Is that what they're going to call it when they release it? Is that right?
Yes. MP, the milestone preview.
Yeah, right. And I've well, I can't really talk about that. So since then I have confirmed a few of those things. I can confirm a few of those things, and then today Microsoft officially confirmed them, as well as some other things, many of which we did know about before.
Start button for sure.
Yes.
And I hate to do this, but I'm going to say it one more time. That's not a start menu.
Right.
No, it's not.
Which we've been saying very consistently.
Many others are confused. The Verge and others think it's a start menu. I keep hearing is back. It's only back if you thought the developer preview was like the definitive version of Windows 8, because that's the only other place we've seen it. It's the same thing as the button on the Surface with the Windows logo on it on the screen, or the same thing as the Windows key does the same thing, right?
Right.
Hey, if you've downloaded Start 8, you have something that looks exactly like it. It's
no, because Start 8 gives us a menu.
It does, but I mean, as far as the button on the
functionality is different.
Right.
Yeah, but and I think that there is, as you said, and I shouldn't have to repeat this, but there's sometimes people don't listen to every single show. That this is an important feature because while you could drag the mouse to the lower left-hand corner, there was nothing to indicate that you would get a start menu or start button there. So putting one on the screen is probably a user benefit, a usability feature. Certainly doesn't take up much real estate.
Right. Although it's crazy. I don't know if you've seen this, Paul, already. I've seen people going, I'm going to hack it so that the start button doesn't show because I don't want it. Yeah, and I'm like, what?
Right.
Who cares? Leave it there.
I know. It's just.
But now let me ask you, is there any additional functionality or is it just the equivalent of hitting the Windows key?
Actually, there is additional functionality. So one of the things that Mary Jo had, I believe, in her piece earlier this week was this notion that you could optionally change the start menu to all apps view. And it turns out this is tied to a new bit of functionality to the hut corners, right? So if you're familiar with the way Windows 8 works, you know that each one of the 4 corners of the screen, if you move the mouse into that corner, it will do something, right? So on the right side, the top and the bottom corner will invoke the charms if you move the mouse down the side of the screen or up the side of the screen. And the bottom left one is for the start tip, right, which will actually still work largely the same way, I guess. But you can change that now. So you can change the lower left corner to go to the all apps view instead of to the start screen. And this is supposed to be a halfway point for people between the new start screen and the old start menu. Okay. Right? Because if you probably don't have Windows 8 in front of you, but if you, in Windows 8 today, if you right click on the start screen, an app bar will come up at the bottom, and there's only one button on it. It says all apps. So when you click on that, what you see is a list of all of the apps that are on your PC. And it's arranged in groups just like the start menu used to be, right? So it's kind of like a full screen start menu. And they have, new functionality in Windows 8.1 that will let you organize those apps in different ways. You can move things around and display them the way you want. So in some ways, it's very much like the start menu, except that, of course, it's full screen. So that's actually kind of a nice concession, I think.
It is. And what it basically does is it lets you, if you're not a fan of the tiles, use something that's more like a bunch of icons. So I think it's nice to give people the choice. Again, so many people are up in arms over this, saying they should not let people get around the tiles. It's like, come on.
Or up in arms the other way. Like, thank you for taking half a step, Microsoft. What I want is the start menu, Yeah. And they're never going to please everyone. That's the problem. No. And by the way, if they did please everyone, they would please no one. I think that's an important thing to note as well.
True.
Arthur DS, a good question in the chat room. Will this break Classic Shell or Start 8, the add-ons that give you a start menu? What will it do to that?
We don't know yet. We'll have to test them on there and see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, we can't test all these things people are asking us to try. We don't actually have this build that they are showing off this week. This is the build everybody's going to get in preview form at build.
Build for build.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So in a couple of weeks we'll get that.
Yeah.
Well, end of the month. Let's end of June. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we're going to have it before then. Let's be clear about that. But
Raphael's downloading it right now. All right. What else is new?
What else? Lots.
The ability to have the same background on your desktop and your start screen is new.
Yes, thank you, because I hate those stupid graphic.
Yes.
It's so frustrating. It's like, come on, give me can I have a desktop, please?
It's crazy they wouldn't do this before, in my view, because it's going to make things less jarring, I would think, if you're moving between the two environments. It's at least going to look 5
kind of oddly like some designer made these little things, and I didn't really. It's like a tattoo.
Here's why they are literally called tattoos. This is why this has always bothered me. If you're familiar with Windows Phone 8, you know that you can put any arbitrary image on your lock screen, and that the white text that goes over that image, you can still see it. Even, by the way, if the image you put there is a block of white.
It looks great.
I've done.
No, it looks really good.
So they've actually figured out how to make that work.
Yeah.
So they limited the start screen not because of a technical limitation, but because they just didn't want you to do it. And that is so crazy. So now they're going to...
I'm telling you, you can blame Steve Jobs for all of this. Seriously, he made such success telling users what they wanted that other companies have said, why do we do these focus groups and all this beta testing? Let's just tell them what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
It worked for Steve.
Apple. Yeah.
Yep.
Why don't we do that?
Steve.
I really
Why don't
think
I do it?
there is this trend towards kind of paternalism in the tech industry, and you can blame Apple for that.
Yep. So agree. And Microsoft basically adopted that especially with Windows RT and to some extent Windows 8. It was like, here's the product, guys. Yeah, you can test it, but we're done, and that's that.
I just hate that.
Or as they described it, the most open product development in the history.
Right, which is something they said recently.
Liar. Lies, all lies. So, and the problem is, of course, maybe you can do that if you're Steve Jobs, not if you're Steven Sinofsky. It's just
right. So for all of the kvetching about Apple, I mean, let's just be fair. Over the past decade or so,
it did work for them.
They were right way more than they were wrong. Way more.
Yeah.
Microsoft's a little tougher. I mean, and it's not just obviously they have a huge audience. It's 1.4 billion Windows users.
I think you would say that is one of the big differences.
Well, Apple's hitting that kind of audience size too. So
Apple has it, but they've had a captive audience. Look at what Sinofsky tweeted the other day. Dictatorship not so good, but consensus also not. Product dev is a social science.
Oh man, that's awesome. You know why that's awesome?
Why?
Because that says this.
The cult. This is from a blog post. He's referring to from Alex Cabal, the cult of design dictatorship, which is exactly what we've just been talking about. And what's interesting is he's saying, the problem on the Linux GNOME 3 desktop, it's really gone downhill because of this designer is always right attitude. GNOME is just so sucky now. There's something, I've been using a Linux laptop. It's Ubuntu, so it comes with the Ubuntu Unity interface, which I really strongly dislike. And so a lot of people do. So GNOME 3 is the kind of common replacement for that. And it's much better. It's what I'm using right now, but it's a lot of people say, well, go back to 2. So this apparently, maybe it isn't Steve Jobs' fault, but it seems to have seeped into the consciousness. And I think geeks tend to be a little arrogant. There is a certain amount of arrogance.
Sure.
And it has to be tempered. And maybe the truth was you had guys at the top like Bill Gates who said, no, we got to really find out what people want. And they were the ones who were convincing people otherwise. I don't know.
I will always feel bad about Windows 8 because I have to give them credit for being very aggressive where they normally aren't. I have to at least give them that. Now, that doesn't mean they're right. I mean, that's the problem. The problem is what they came up with wasn't necessarily right for the mass majority of people.
In this blog, it says, folks, you are not Steve Jobs, and you are not 37 Signals, another company that really is very designer driven. I think it's design.
Well, by the way, we shouldn't beat this subject to death. One of the things that Steve Jobs actually got very wrong was software design. His sort of skeuomorphic love of skeuomorphic.
That's right.
This is a guy who bought a Gulfstream jet and loved the leather stitching on the seats so much that he demanded that Apple's designers come in, take pictures of it, and duplicate that design somewhere in some software, somewhere in iOS or something. That's actually bad design, So, there's that. But, Apple hardware-wise certainly is almost unassailable. I mean, the hardware design they have over there is amazing.
And I think if the rumors are right, we're going to see a very different iOS because Johnny Ive has marched in and said, we're going to make this look different, and it's going to flatten. And
we're going to hear a lot about the Chrome getting out of the way.
Right.
We're going to hear a lot of language we've heard before.
Somebody said in the chat room, and this might be true, that it's really designers. The arrogance comes from designers, not coders.
By the way, so there is an arrogance to designers, actually, and this is a conversation I think we've had on this podcast.
I have taste, you don't.
Well, no, it's not that. It's, in other words, Microsoft expends a lot of energy trying to explain why this Metro, even though we can't call it Metro interface, is so amazing because it's based on good design. And look at all the Swiss design in the background, and you can see it in airports and in train terminals. And look how good, we have all these tenants. We have blah, 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 and they go on and on and on. It's like, guys, that's okay. I happen to like it personally, but if a lot of people don't like this, maybe that's not good design either. I mean, they seem hell-bent on proving that this thing is good design.
You should like this. Why don't you like this? It is good.
It must be you.
It must be you. Actually, exactly.
Yeah, I think that the way people respond to something is an indication of whether or not it's good design. It's sort of like that comment about pornography. I don't know what it is, but I know it when I see it or whatever. Right. Good design is like that too.
Very interesting. I think it's funny that Sinofsky. Now, he also says consensus isn't the only way to go either.
Listen, you cannot parse what this guy says. He is. I mean, I don't want to say that he's mental, but I mean, these things don't. Please do not analyze this.
You can't have it this way. You can't have it that way. It's somewhere in between. That is the classic and ridiculous point of view, in my opinion. There's no right answer. You're all right.
There's no right answer, but what you said, that's wrong. Yeah.
All I know is Microsoft has jumped the shark.
Remember when I said everyone has good ideas? I meant everyone but you.
All right, so what else? So we have a personalization on the start screen. I'm really thrilled about that. We can get desktop backgrounds on that. That's awesome. Picture frame mode on lock screen. Does this mean I'm going to get to see my pictures? What does that mean?
It means when the screen is locked that instead of a static lock screen image, you can have an animation of a slideshow of pictures that can be on the device or can come from SkyDrive.
And that's another feature from phones. I mean, that's one of the things I really like about smartphones is these kind of picture
I like the notion
displays.
of something that's going to sit there on your desk will turn into kind of a fun slideshow. You have those moments where you walk in from lunch or something and there's a cute picture.
It's not a screensaver exactly. It's it's just
no, because screensavers don't do anything. But it's something pleasant for you.
Right.
Like it's made to make the thing more pleasant. I like that.
This is I really like. Is this Facebook on the Windows Phone that puts on my lock screen pictures?
Well, there are many apps. Facebook is one. Bing is one. That could be the Bing picture of the day.
Actually, that's my picture, but so it must be from Facebook.
Right.
So you could have the Bing picture of the day or whatever on your lock screen. I think that's beautiful.
I had, by the way, I briefly put like AP Mobile as my lock screen app because I wanted to see what it was like. And then there was this horrific earthquake, and the photo that was on the front was like this awful destruction of, and I was like, all right, that's the end of that one,
Never mind. Sorry I mentioned it. Skype integration. You mean more than that, more than before? What is this? What does it mean?
Well, so this has to do with the lock screen. Apparently, you can, again, while the device is locked, which I wonder about. I wonder about the locking thing a little bit. Like I don't ever. Well, people must do this when they go to lunch at workplaces. Like I don't personally lock the screen on my device all that often. I suppose over a certain amount of time the screen is supposed to lock, and that's how it happens. But from a locked screen, as on a phone, you can use the built-in camera. Right, so you know how that works on a phone. You don't have to log in to use the camera, right? So they're going to have that capability. I'm not too thrilled with that because I have an attitude problem about people who take pictures with iPads or whatever. But okay, so there's that. But apparently, you can also accept a Skype call. So in other words, you hear the Skype phone tone ringing, and you run into your office, but the screen's locked. You don't have to, quickly try to log into the thing. You can actually accept the call without logging in first. So kind of just a little nicety, I guess, from the lock screen.
Yeah, I mean, you should use the lock screen for more stuff.
Yeah, I think that's just but this one's interesting because it's new to me anyway. This is a new functionality I hadn't heard of.
So I don't have to unlock it. I just the call comes in. I go, okay. This is all phone.
Yeah, I mean, if you use Windows
Phone
today,
phone influenced.
Which by the way should be a kind of a heads up. The way Windows Phone works, and probably other smartphones too, I just use Windows Phone, is nice. So you can take pictures with the phone without it while it's locked, and you can go back and look at the pictures you've taken with the phone since you've used it then. But you can't get to previous photos until you unlock it. You actually have an unlock little button there that you can tap, and then you log in, and then you can do other stuff. So you can't manage the photos on the phone or see other stuff or do other stuff. You can just take photos. And I assume that this kind of functionality is designed to work in a similar fashion where it gives you kind of a basic capability, but, to do more advanced things.
And a couple of good questions. Presumably anybody who's walking by your computer could answer the phone, so you might, which is true of your office phone too. So if that's an issue, you might want to disable that feature. You have to turn it on specifically, right?
By the way, if I ever walk by someone's computer and it's ringing, I am absolutely answering that thing.
Hello, Leo Laporte's office.
Yes.
This is his assistant, P. Thorat. May I help you?
Pizza Hut, can I help you?
And the other question, which I thought was good from Ali Robe, could other apps do this? Or do you have to be Microsoft?
I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder, because in Windows Phone, more and more apps can do that, right? Have appear on the lock screen.
So they have an API for that. So
Right.
build is coming, and there'll be developer story for Windows 8.1.
I would guess if they're doing it in Windows Phone, they're going to do that.
Why not?
Yeah,
it's a good call.
Love that. Love that.
Yep.
Keep up the good work, Microsoft. You're going places.
Eventually, you'll have a wonderful phone OS. That can also play Duke Nukem.
Well, you know, I was, instead of buying this Linux laptop, I was thinking, I am ashamed to admit it, but I was thinking of maybe putting Linux on the Acer S7, and I thought, no, I'm going to wait till Blue. And I'm going to see, because maybe this will be just the little tweak that makes this thing real. Because I don't hate Windows 8. It's just a little annoying.
I'm just suspicious of it.
It's version 1.0, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I think, boy, I'm liking what I'm seeing here.
Yes, and we should give Microsoft some positive reinforcement here.
Yes,
it's like
thank
people
you.
keep saying we're so negative, and
Right.
you know, I think they're
Yeah.
doing great stuff here. This is good. I'll keep going, Microsoft. Keep listening.
All right,
to
that's
the
enough of the
customer.
positive crap.
No, keep listening. Keep listening.
Well-
and so many people are saying, I don't like this, I don't like that.
And
It's just great.
Yeah.
They're giving people choice.
I'll say
again.
this, from Windows Phone 7 to Windows Phone 8, a lot of beautiful refinements, even simple things like lock screen. That makes a big difference. The user experience is easily influenced by a few small changes
Yes,
that could
indeed.
change your attitude entirely.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Imagine, Windows RT, when I think about RT in particular, because it's hamstrung in some ways by not having those desktop capabilities, right? One of the things that would make RT a million times more usable to me personally, and I think to others, would be the ability to do that SkyDrive integration into the file system like you do in Windows. They don't have an application for that. So SkyDrive integration is a feature of Windows 8.1, meaning it's also going to RT, which means you don't have to have the desktop app anymore, and it will still do that synchronization where you can access that stuff offline. That kind of thing, that's night and day right there. That is the difference between I can actually never use this and, actually, maybe I could use this, depending on how the other things go. It's a big difference.
Right. And we should remind everybody that the preview build that's coming out at Build is going to be for both Windows 8 and Windows RT. So if you are a Windows RT user, you're going to get this too. And it seems like all of the features we heard about today are going to be in RT as far as we know,
except for maybe one, although now I want to follow up on this one, because one of the things they mentioned was domain join is going to be possible through the PC settings interface, which is the Metro thing. Now, you can't join a domain from Windows RT.
No, you can't.
But then again, you can't join a domain from Windows 8 Core, I bet, too. So maybe that's the differentiator.
This is great. I'm excited. I think it actually even makes more sense in RT.
Mary Jo wrote an article, I think, about the search thing that's coming, right? In Windows
I did.
8.1. So
Right.
This is a new,
maybe you
new
could
Bing
explain this,
stuff.
because I have to admit I don't understand.
Yeah. So actually, as much as we're talking up the change with the start button and all that, Microsoft said to me this week they consider the single biggest set of new features coming in Windows Blue to be around search. And so they're going to really make search work very differently with Blue than it works with Windows 8. The way to think about it is, if you know these Bing apps that are part of Windows 8, things like the travel app and the stock app and the sports app, when you search inside those apps, when you look up something and it goes and gets the data, it's getting it from the web, right? So with search in Windows Blue, when you search for something inside of the operating system, it's going to automatically give you a lot of different results ordered in a very scrollable and kind of picturesque way. So you'll see your own data results come back from wherever the data is, like if it's in your SkyDrive or it's somewhere in a file on your system, or it could actually go out to the web and get results. So if you say you're on your Windows Blue PC or a tablet and you search Katy Perry, it'll come back with anything that is your own file that has a Katy Perry connection, your music, any kind of artwork, clips, email, not email yet. Email's going to be future, but anything that is around that search result will come back, and it'll be arranged so that you can scroll across and see these results in groups.
I like
so
this.
it's kind of
This
cool.
is from Tom Warren's article on The Verge.
Right. There's the one Microsoft put out, the Marilyn Monroe
This is
search,
from
right?
Microsoft. Okay. I like this. That's
I
very
like it too.
slick.
It's pretty cool.
You get Wikipedia. You get a bunch
Right.
of stuff.
Right. so any apps you have installed on your PC, it'll search within those apps. So because right now, when you're trying to search for something on Windows 8, you have to know to go inside the app that you want to search and then use the search charm, or search in that way. So you have to do contextual search. So this is going to take that need away, as far as I understand. And you just can start typing the way you can now on Windows 8 or Windows RT. It's like just start typing a query without even being in search, and all these results will come up.
So it is searching. So it won't get a Wikipedia search from the web. It'll get it from the Wikipedia app that I have installed.
Right. But it's also going to search out to the web, too. Like that one screen of search results is going to be from the web, too.
Neat.
So
Does this make you nervous at all?
a little bit. I know, a little bit.
This has
But
the
I kinda
makings
like-
of, well, in other words, Microsoft has often gotten into trouble for the IntelliSense type thing, where
Right.
it's, we think we know what you're doing.
Right.
It looks like you're trying to write a ransom note or something,
Yeah.
And, here's some help or whatever. And it's going to be, I think there's going to be some Siri-like humor that could come out of this where people are going to say, here's what I typed in and look at this ridiculous thing it came back with.
But I got to point out that Google is really doing this big time with Knowledge Graph and everything. And you better do it. It's really a Google Bing world. This is it.
It is.
There's no other search engine that's in the ballpark. So Bing's got to do this, or just cede it to Google. Now Google may have an advantage. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Microsoft, people forget a lot of times, I think, about all the indexing that Bing does, too, out there, right? So they're pulling from gigantic indexes on their servers in their data center. Like, this doesn't just happen like, oh, I'm just searching my little PC. It's like they're using like the whole back end infrastructure of Bing out in their data centers to pull this data, right? So it's gonna get better as more people use it. It's gonna get better as more queries are done and more accurate, right? So I'm excited to see how it works. I hope it works.
I think the issue is that to date, Google has been very out front with Google Now and this notion of the thing anticipating what you're going to want. Hey, you're taking a train. We happen to know the train is late. Now you know that too. That kind of thing. Or Siri has this capability to have almost a conversation with the user. Microsoft really to date has not had anything like this. Like those things yet. And so this it appears is kind of the start of their attempt at this kind of thing.
The one thing. No voice, though, which I asked about, because Google's been touting, with Chrome, how you can just ask questions by voice if you want to. And it was interesting. I was interviewing Stefan White, who's one of the executives in the search team at Microsoft. And he said, well, yeah, that's cool what they're doing, but it's kind of a parlor trick. I was like, oh. I thought they might do it.
Because we don't have it.
I know. I kind of like it.
I thought they might do it with Connect, right? Because if you have Connect for Windows, why couldn't you use the voice recognition that's built into Connect and do the same kind of thing? But he kind of said, we're not really thinking about that because we're not assuming every PC is going to have a Connect.
Who is, let me try this. Who is Mary Jo Foley?
Jeez.
Okay, it didn't give you speech. Let me try Paul Thurrott. Who is Paul Thurrott? Paul Farrock. Let's try it.
I've often been called The Rock, so that makes
Who
sense.
is Paul Farrock? Never mind.
Troy Rock?
Forget I said anything. Let me try one with me because I know it works with me. Who is Leo Laporte? Oh, it's not doing. It's not doing the reading. It's not. Oh,
if I could have taken my
parlor
wife's
trick.
name instead of mine, I would have done that. I just want to be clear about that.
Stupid. I don't have it turned on here. Well, let's try it again. Who is Leo Laporte? Oh, I guess on my other computer it talks to me. I guess
Maybe it's because you're using Linux.
That's the Mac. I bet it works fine on Windows. So it's cool. It pulls out from the Wikipedia article and it says Leo Laporte is a technology journalist. It's really cool. And it's maybe a parlor trick, but I could see it becoming extremely useful.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work on the Mac.
When would you use it, though? I'm curious, because I can't. In New York, it's hard to envision where I would ever use that.
Not in public.
No. No.
Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Not in public, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it is a parlor trick. I don't know. I'm willing to accept
cool.
that.
It's interesting, right? I mean,
It's got
nice.
a Star Trek thing to it. There's no doubt about that.
You're right. Actually, now that I think about it.
You know, it's like when people for a while there would have those smartphones or cell phones where instead of holding it to the ear, it would be like a walkie-talkie, and
I hate that when people do that. Those
hate that. You know, like, thank you for involving me
They're
in
talking
your
like this.
conversation.
So then I said,
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
it's so annoying.
And it goes beep, beep, it does a little beep beep sound. You know, but
Please
so
don't do that.
This would be like that. So it's like, hey, thank you for involving me in your Google search.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I needed to hear. You're checking on this person that you're having a blind date with while he's in the bathroom. That's great.
Here's where here's a potential scenario, and it really is almost a dual screen scenario, because the next version is going to be you don't have to click anything. You just say, okay, Google, who is Paul Thurrott? And maybe you're working on a screen and Google's just listening and it just happens. Okay, Google, who's Paul Thurrott, as you're typing or you're thinking. Okay, Google, call my mom. I mean, I think that there are uses for it, but it's early days yet.
You just reminded me of something. This is not related to our current conversation, but it's sort of related to Windows 8, which is that I just realized in a year and a half of using Windows 8, something has never happened to me that used to happen to me all the time in Windows 7. Because over the holiday weekend, I was decommissioning some Windows 7 machines to give away. And so you kind of do that fresh install, and you're using Windows 7 because you got to do stuff and you have to activate and you're going between different screens. And one thing that Windows 7 and previous versions of Windows did to me all the time that drove me absolutely bad crazy, that happened to me this weekend for the first time in a while, was a window in the background needed your attention. It would actually pop to the front. So I'd be typing something.
Oh, I hate that.
And it would interrupt the typing.
And you start typing in another window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like,
don't do that.
And, by the way, Windows 8 never does that.
Yeah, that's called stealing focus, and it's a very, very bad thing.
That it was an instant reminder of something that drove me insane about Windows. And I don't believe that's ever happened to me in Windows 8. So there you go. That's a reason to spend $200 right there.
Right there. That's the reason. Well, I'm starting to like this. I'm actually anyway. We're going to do more new features, including built-in apps, snap mode, PC settings, IE 11, hot corners, and more. And we'll talk
not to be confused with Hot Pockets.
Ooh, Hot Pocket. Ooh. Why don't we have Hot Pockets as an advertiser?
We can.
Then somebody could come in with a steam.
I would enjoy a Hot Pocket every episode.
I know. Somebody come in with a steaming plate of Hot Pockets for me. It'd make me happy. All right, we are gonna say our show brought to you today by Go to My PC. Maybe not something you can eat, but something that's useful. In fact, while you're eating Hot Pockets, you could be getting work done.
Wow.
That's a stretch. I admit it.
We're the best in the business, Leo.
Go to My PC. It's remote access. Done right. Easy to install. In fact, you could do it right now. If you're at work while you're listening to this, go to mypc.com, click the Try It Free button, and use our offer code Windows. You'll get 30 days free, and you'll see how quickly it installs, literally in just a couple of minutes. You're ready. Now, when you leave work, put it on your smartphone, your iPhone, your Android phone, your tablet, your Kindle, and suddenly you're able to do everything you could do at your work computer anywhere you are on any of those devices, which is really amazing. It really is portable. Now, they use some very smart techniques like NAT traversal and TLS to make sure it's secure and you don't have to have IT department come in and open holes in the firewall. That's dangerous. This is a very, very secure solution. And if you're stuck somewhere like the airport or restaurant, the DMV, a doctor's office, you don't have to read that old highlights for children. You can pull out your smartphone and delete some emails, go through some stuff. I don't know if this is a selling point, but this is that downtime is the new uptime. I guess if you're just we're staring into space and bored to tears, this really is a great thing. You can actually get work done while you're in a waiting room. I want you to try it free, 30 days free, and this would be a good time to try it, so you have it ready to go. Go to mypc.com. The offer code's Windows. Get the free apps on all your devices, and you're ready to go for 30 days. Instant access, secure, fast, easy to your computer, Mac or PC. Go to mypc.com. Use the offer code Windows. I think you're going to like it. Let's see here. We're talking about Windows Blue 8.1. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley.
My wife's outside checking on the bird.
Oh, do you have a little box or something with a bird in it? What's the story?
No, I decided to return it to the wild, and
Oh, once you've touched it, the mother bird's going to reject it.
so actually, that's not true, by the way.
No?
Yeah, that's a myth.
Does it smell like you?
It might smell like me, but I smell great. so,
There's a man who's confident. That's a confident man. They should use you for the Old Spice commercials.
I was just going to say that. Old Spice, the next app.
Yeah. It has a ship on it. It has a ship on the bottle, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, no, I put it back out. It didn't want to leave, but I finally, pushed it out.
Oh. So
I think it either fell out of the nest or was learning to fly because it was flying poorly, and I think it was just tired.
They do push it. They do push it out the out the nest.
I thought they were attacking it, but they were just
they push it out the nest when it's time to fly. I think that's what happens, right? Or it may be like the run of the litter. I don't know. I
think it's just a baby. It's a little guy.
Yeah, he's really cute. Cardinals are great. If you're in St. Louis.
Right. My favorite non-Red Sox team to win the championship.
There you go. At least they're red. All right. Did we mention the apps? Photos, SkyDrive, Store, Xbox, and Xbox Music.
And others. Yeah, SkyDrive. Probably more than that, too.
You'd expect that, but this is not they already pushed out updates to those apps. They're going to push
not to
more?
all of them. So, so Photos was one that notably wasn't updated, and that's getting updated. And we saw in some of the leak builds that the SkyDrive app was picking up local file system navigation as well as SkyDrive navigation. And they toyed with calling it Files for a little while, and I think now it's back to SkyDrive. But, that's one that clearly, we sort of knew was being updated as well.
Right.
I know that the Xbox media services are getting a major overhaul June, July-ish. And the Xbox Music app update would coincide with that pretty nicely. So that those two things are probably related. And I have to think there's more than what they've mentioned. A new version of Internet Explorer with some interesting features there. Mary Jo just talked about the Bing app stuff, obviously. I think all that stuff's good. I think we're going to see a lot. But there's a help and tips app you can see on the start screen in one of the screenshots, much like you actually have a Windows Phone. Obviously a big need because no one can seem to figure out how to turn the thing on. Some of the basic
that's
features.
Good. Another good one.
Yeah,
it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
I guess they probably feel like, it's an admission.
Yeah, that's why they didn't. Isn't that, Paul? I'm remembering this. They didn't want to have a long tutorial in Windows 8 because they felt like it was an admission.
They fought
that it was going to be hard
they
to
actually
use.
Fought over that.
They did.
Yep. Well, fortunately, they did the wrong thing, so now they're fixing it. But
right.
No, but they had a little video when I booted up.
They did, but it goes once, and then you can never
That's
get it back, can you?
Well, I think Julia Larson Green said that the funny thing about this is what I found is that people try to mimic they see that they can touch the screen.
Oh,
or whatever,
you try to do it while the video's on.
They try to do it, and then it doesn't do anything. And,
No,
a good
you know
interactive video would be like, hey, good job, you got that one right.
You know what? That's a good point. And
It
a
really
lot
is
of
kinda
computers,
stupid,
and many programs do this. Try this. Okay, now you did that. Try that now. Yeah, that's easy.
We'll let you use this when you prove a certain amount of proficiency.
They do that on a Mac now.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you can't show that you know how to scroll wrong,
you're not doing it.
they won't let you start. We're
going to turn on that single screen experience for you.
To drive you nuts. But if you don't know how to do this, well, we're not going to let you use a Macintosh.
Oh, two other apps we forgot to mention. The two new Bing developed apps. One is a health and fitness app that is going to actually connect up to Health Vault, which is Microsoft's health repository, personal health repository in the cloud. The other one is a food app, a food and cooking app. And the coolest thing about that one, and because I've tried to use my Surface RT in the kitchen, you can actually, if you have a webcam, gesture to change a page in a recipe and not have to touch the recipe and mess up your screen with all your floury hands. That's pretty cool.
This means that IBM's vision for the PC Junior was in fact correct. They were just 30 years early.
Yep.
Is that the same thing as on the Galaxy S4 where you wave at it to pick it up?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. So
Maybe-
those are good ones. Those are nice.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah. And we forgot to put on this list of our things, but is going to make a lot of my readers happy. Boot straight to desktop.
Oh, how did I miss that?
Come back.
Right.
What's a
Yeah.
desktop? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Right. So, there's enterprise users, especially, don't really have much in the way of Metro apps that they want. So they want, when they boot up their Windows 8 or Windows RT machine, to be in the desktop, right? They want to be in that experience where they can run their existing apps. And that's where they want to be. Mostly Windows 8, not so much Windows RT there. But Microsoft's going to make it so you can have that as a setting if you'd like. Turn that on. And when you start up, you will be in the desktop instead of on the tiled Metro interface screen.
Yep.
So that's for the people who, they want to run their Visual Studio. They want to run their Office apps primarily.
They should do a test with people where they could measure their blood pressure every time they boot into Windows. And I bet that people who don't have to look at Metro and then skip over it will have lower blood pressure than most who do.
Now that's health.
Yeah.
And that, right? They could send the results through that health app and
Yeah.
be all set.
Yep.
Your blood pressure has soared. Are you using Metro?
Yeah, right. You are suffering from metroitis.
Metroitis.
Right.
I think this is really good. You could change the hot corners. Did you mention that?
Briefly, and we actually don't know a lot about this one yet. This is new information. It's not clear if they're literally going to give you a tool to,
that would be nice.
configure each one. I kind of hope they do that.
Yeah, because everybody, one size does not fit all, and I think it wouldn't be a bad thing to give me the choice.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, I think that, honestly, if you want to break down the fundamental... Actually, that's not true. I was going to say break down the fundamental problem with Windows 8. Actually, it's that it's two operating systems that are melded together,
Yeah, that's the big
whether
problem.
they need to be or not. That's the big problem. But I think the other issue, though, is just that Microsoft in the past always gave people this kind of choice.
Right.
And whether it was different ways to do the same thing or the ability to go back to a previous user interface just to make the transition easier.
Right.
And they really made this kind of hard stop with Windows 8 that is, I think, unprecedented in the history of Windows, at least in modern years. And I just think that was a mistake. That alone was a mistake, that they could have pushed everything they did in Windows 8 if they had just given people the ability to flip a switch somewhere and turn on the start button on the desktop.
Yeah, I agree.
And boot right to the desktop. Just
I
from day one.
really agree. Yeah.
Not that people wouldn't have complained, but I think the volume of it would have been dramatically lower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think so.
agree. Oh, we forgot to mention, too, they're fixing Snap, which we've talked about on this show before many times.
Doesn't have to be
in dramatic ways, I have to say.
Yes. Right. So you're going to be able to have
multi-mod.
50-50 view, right?
Yep.
That's going to be, is that the default view? Do you know, Paul? Now? With the new Snap? I don't know that.
No, I
Okay.
think the default
it depends on
is
how
that
you
that little side one, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean,
1/6.
it depends on how you cause Snap to, because there are keyboard shortcuts too. So I suspect that you can have it kind of phase out across the different positions. But
yeah,
But yeah,
I
so
don't
you'll
even
have
know
multiple
those keyboard
more-
shortcuts. It
Yeah,
just
more
shows you.
Windows. Especially if you have bigger monitor setup, multi-monitor setup, you can have your snaps configure in different ways. Yay!
you can have the start screen actually stay on a screen. God forbid. I don't know why you can't do that today. You could have multiple Metro apps across screens. Nice. Different position. You can have up to 3 on a normal screen resolutions. Although Raphael looked at the builds that are out now, and if you go up to crazy resolutions, I don't remember the exact number, but he had several panes of snap panes, much more than 3 certainly.
Oh, I like that.
All kinds of configuration changes.
That's
there,
good.
which is nice.
I like that. Dual monitor support in Metro? Is that coming?
Yeah, I mean, there's some of that now. But I think I'm just working off the top of my head because I don't use multiple monitors in real life. But I think the way it works now is if you have 2 monitors, you can have desktop and Metro.
Right, but you can't have
And if you
Metro
have
across multiple monitors.
Right. And if you have 3 monitors, you can have Metro, desktop, desktop. I think. I hope
that makes sense. Metro, that start screen is really one screen.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
the
guess
problem
people
with
would like
but
2 Metro apps running, maybe.
The problem with the start screen, though, is that it provides a nice glanceable UI where things happen.
Right.
In other words, you can look at it and say, oh, look, I got an email.
So I'd like to
message.
keep that running.
But you can't do that today. Like
Right.
if you try to leave the start screen sitting over here on the other screen, it won't stay there. As soon as you start doing something else, start screen will go away.
Right.
So now they're fixing that. I mean, that was one of those kind of maturity things. And a lot of the 1.0 nature of Windows 8 is that once you actually start using this in the real world, you realize, oh, that's not quite the way it needed to be. So those changes they're making to Snap, I think, are in some ways among the biggest. I mean, aside from the starts, menu stuff that everyone or start button stuff that everyone thinks is so important. I mean, I think this stuff is really about the maturation of this Metro environment and is very, very important for this platform going forward, because the way it's shipped in 1.0 is just so hobbled. So hobbled. Are you laughing at my big boy underwear?
I'm laughing because when Dr. Pizza was on the show, we had this big fight over was Snap crap. And
it is crap. Well, you know why it's crap?
Yeah, I know
well, what
why.
What did you say? What was the argument?
He was like, "There's nothing wrong with it. It works great. I use it all the time."
No, it's
I'm
crap.
like, "What?"
No. In fact, bring him on here so I can say he's wrong and we can hang up on it. No. Here's why. The way that Snap is implemented in Windows 8, it is, and this is so ridiculous when you consider the resolution independent nature of the Metro environment. That pane is a set number of pixels wide, and that is it.
Right.
So if your display is running at like 3,264 by whatever crazy resolution, that thing is still whatever that is, 349 or 360 pixels or whatever it is. That's stupid.
That's what I
just
said.
That is brain dead stupid.
I think that's what we were saying. But this solves it. And your response, Mary Jo, was, well, it's going to have you'll be able to do arbitrary sizes in the next version.
Right.
And I think
God forbid you let these things actually auto resize based on the size, shape, and resolution.
Right.
I mean, it's just the software is designed to do that.
Right.
So now Snap is going to be designed to do that too.
Good.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Snap.
That's what I mean. I think this is fundamentally, this arguably is maybe the single most important kind of platform feature, because now this I think Snap makes sense and potentially makes sense, and certainly be usable where today I don't think it is for most situations.
We talked about apps, but somebody's saying, well, tell me more about music. How will music be changed? Is it just going to be cosmetic, or is there going to be changes to what the Zune Xbox music experience is?
Can I answer this, Paul?
Yeah, please do.
And the reason I want to tell the listeners why we don't know the answer to this.
Okay.
Actually, so the way Microsoft disclosed this preview today and went public with it was they decided they were going to brief a certain set of people, and they brought them to certain locations, and they showed them this. They showed several people the new Xbox Music app, but Microsoft didn't brief me or Paul on any of this at all. So we haven't seen this ourselves. We've only seen screenshots. So that's why we don't know the answer to this.
Was the other group non-disclosed, or were they able to?
They were non-disclosed.
So in a way, it's good, because if you knew, you couldn't say.
No, they were non-disclosed till today.
Oh, till today.
But they are no longer non-disclosed.
Why didn't they show you guys? Don't you guys have some audience?
The way I posed it to Mary Jo was, let's say you wanted to pick, I don't know, 2 people,
friendly people,
Windows bloggers, prominent,
Who would you pick?
I don't know. Who would you pick?
Who was the first to leap to mind? Well, wait a minute, though. Was it the big mainstream media guys? Was it the Walt Mossbergs and the?
No, it was bloggers, and it was
bloggers.
Some of
it was
that
the same people who they've been pretty much disclosing all along too. And I guess I want to air this here so that people understand how this works. For one, our listeners understand this, and also to just point out this is really weird because we had kind of thought this era was over of us being closed out of these kind of briefings, and it's very odd that we were closed out this time.
I think so too, because I have people I consider to be friends on the Windows team, certainly, but also people I consider friends on the PR side of this, and I have my own little complaint in about this because I don't understand. I assume that part of it is just that, maybe from their perspective, we're talking about stuff they don't want us to talk about or something.
Maybe.
But,
Maybe.
You're being punished.
Look, this isn't Pravda or whatever.
It is, though. And I think, I talk about this and people just say, oh, you're whining, Leo. So I'm going to talk about it now because it has nothing to do with me. But this is something that's become predominant in the tech industry. It's always been said in the DC inside Beltway politics that if you are not careful, you can get, frozen out. So the problem with inside the Beltway reporting is you've got to keep your sources happy. And unfortunately, I think the tech industry is very much moved to this kind of coverage where, hey, you play nice, we'll play nice. If you want to get access, you're going to have to say nice things. And so what our listeners should just pay attention to that when that happens, and not just Microsoft, other companies do this now. And when companies do that, be aware that the people that they let in are people they believe will give them positive press. And when they don't let major people like Paul and Mary Jo in, it's because they're being punished. The presumption is you will be honest, for instance.
Yeah, sorry. I mean,
we're both looking at the same tweet right now.
and unfortunately, what happens is when I say this about me, people go, you're just whining,
Right.
But
it's
not whining.
No.
This is about having free and open access to the stuff because we represent consumers so that we can report back to you, our audience, about stuff you care about. And companies want to manipulate coverage. It's manipulating coverage, pure and simple.
And I'm not super interested in that. Obviously.
Well, no, you shouldn't pursue this, and that's why I'm pursuing this line. I am not speaking for you.
No. I mean, I'm not super interested in being part of the media manipulation.
Well, that's what I always say is fine. Okay, you don't want me. We'll find it out some other way.
Sure.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, I'm a lot more dangerous untethered. I can tell you that.
I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be in the fold.
Yeah.
So.
I'm not saying I never go under non-disclosure, and sorry we're belaboring this point, but I do, and I appreciate it when there's something that's very complex and it takes a little longer to digest it and write a really good blog post on it. I don't expect or just assume I'm going to get to be put under non-disclosure, but with all the stuff we've written about Blue since last August, it feels kind of like, maybe you'd want to include those people since they've been on top of it and leading the coverage of it. So
well, maybe that's
the
point. Maybe that's the point. I mean, you guys were talking about the leaked builds.
I guess I would just say to you, we've known for a long time that this Blue thing was coming. We're writing about it. There are people out there that supposedly cover Windows that had never mentioned Blue before.
Oh yeah, guess who gets coverage?
Interesting. That those people are doing a good job.
It's
for Microsoft
manipulation. Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's just disgusting. So, whatever. It's okay.
No, it's better.
I just want people to know that because, like today, I've gotten so many tweets. People saying, "Could you let us know what did this look like, or how did this work?" And that, and I'm I can't tell you.
I don't know. Here's what I can tell you. This build, this milestone preview build. Oh, I'm going to have this a long time before the show. I can guarantee that.
Yeah,
that's happening.
Yeah.
So
you're downloading it now.
Yeah, I mean, so sorry, it's gonna.
And
happen.
Isn't it better that you don't have an NDA? Frankly,
it is.
I stopped signing NDAs and embargoes more than 5 years ago, and the reason is I don't want anybody to tell me what I can or cannot say.
People who
I may not get access, but
people who could get that build and don't write about it ahead of time are not journalists. I mean, I'm sorry, but my job is to communicate to this, in this case, to this company's customers what's happening.
Yeah.
And my job is not to do it in a way that necessarily that Microsoft considers on their schedule or friendly to the company. It's just to provide what I think
we represent consumers. We don't represent a company.
Yeah, I mean, people will, you occasionally get these weird emails from people or feedback somehow where someone will say, "Oh, it must be nice to be on the Microsoft payroll." I would give anything to be on the Microsoft payroll. That would be fantastic. I would work so much less hard than I do now. And
yeah, no kidding. The good part is, I always feel like the good part about when you're on the outs with them on stuff is it makes you work harder. And so I was really glad that I found out about all the things happening with the start button the day before everybody's embargoes were up. And I posted about it because I wasn't under NDA.
Yeah,
and then it was interesting because I was watching which publications were going to follow my story and talk about it. And the ones that didn't were the ones that were under embargo.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's good. I mean, and sorry
actually, to be honest,
since
then
listeners are bored by this, but it's good to know this
It
stuff.
sounds like inside politics. It's not,
I know,
because
I know.
And this is why we spend some time with it, folks, is because you need to understand that not all coverage is the same, and
Sure.
And big companies and the government and any entity that has some power will attempt to use these kinds of tools to manipulate coverage. And you
would
want to
also-
listen to coverage that is not manipulated like that, frankly. If it were me, I would.
Sure.
Period.
Right. The good part is there are people inside and outside of Microsoft who don't agree with the disclosure policy, who try to help us as much as they can, because they want realistic and clear reporting, and so they'll try to help us, and that works well.
It kind of feels related to the previous topic, this kind of paternalism, where well, we don't really need to let people know, because we're going to serve it up piping hot. You like it or not.
It's not always piping hot.
Piping
But yes.
We're back to Hot Pockets.
Yeah, I can't get my mind off of it. It is that time of day, for me anyway. Anything else about Blue before we move on?
Yes.
I wanted to say one thing about this is just like me putting on my tinfoil hat, a little conspiracy theory here.
Good.
So it's interesting that Microsoft chose today, May 30th, to disclose all of this about Blue.
Right.
If you are someone who's kind of paying attention to the news, today was the day that Steven Sinofsky spoke at D11.
Oh.
And I don't think they assumed he was going to say anything out of school. I'm sure, like he's abiding by whatever his contract is with Microsoft and all. But I think, just my take, this was kind
By
of
the way,
hey guys,
you can take off the tinfoil hat, and I think you're right, but I'll tell you why.
Okay.
When they made the initial disclosures about Blue weeks ago, they laid out a plan where they were going to talk about this thing over time. And obviously, there was going to be information at Tech Ed, which is happening next week. And then there was going to be information at Build, which is happening at the end of June. But what they also said was, in the coming weeks, between now and Tech Ed, we're going to have another disclosure about Blue. That happened today. Now, here's the thing. You may recall at that time, I speculated maybe because the Xbox One is going to be based partially on Windows 8, based on Windows 8, I should say. Maybe they're going to use that event to talk about Blue. Maybe somehow that would be it. Now, of course, they downplayed the Windows connection when they did the Xbox One announce. But with the 2 weeks plus they had between those dates, why would Microsoft on a random Thursday decide to make this crazy? Why this day?
Well,
it has to be.
I should point out that the NDA will have had the date in the NDA. So whenever No,
I don't think there were any. I don't think so. This is
generally
not like
what they do is say this is embargoed. We're going to let you write about. We're going to give you a head start.
Oh yeah, no, of course. But they knew that this was the day Sinofsky was appearing weeks ago. Too.
Well, so they knew whenever that was originally presented.
I guarantee you that's what it was.
What did Sinofsky say? Anything that we should be aware of?
Nothing. Literally not a single thing. So, except this. He now uses an Android phone, which I think is hilarious.
That was interesting.
Oh, man, that hurts.
Although I think he uses everything too, like a lot of people in tech, right? But he made it.
He is a user.
He was like, everyone's using Android, and he used the royal we, like we are all using it. I was like, I wonder who the we is there. But no, the other interesting thing about today too, because of the D11 thing, if you remember past D11 conferences, Microsoft always used those as a way to either make a news announcement. They used it to disclose previous versions of Windows, and this year they didn't even have a speaker there, right? So right. I think that was also a little Microsoft message, perhaps saying, "Hey guys, you all think out there in La La Land it's the post-PC era, and our response is going to be, we're going to make our own news today, and we don't need D11." Just my take and guess.
By the way, anytime anyone extends a middle finger toward Walter Mossberg, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too.
But
I didn't say that.
I mean, I just want to be clear about that.
That's a brave thing to say. He's kind of powerful.
Nice.
But not beloved by his colleagues, let's put it that way.
Not beloved, period. So I think that is, I think Mary Jo's right. This clearly was done on purpose today.
That's
I love
interesting.
that. I love that. I love.
I find that
so they left me out of it, which I feel bad about, but they did that to the D11 thing or whatever it was. Good.
I mean, we're going to both say we wish we had gotten to see the Blue preview along with everybody else. I'm not going to say I didn't wish.
Someone who could have asked the right questions should have seen it.
But it would have made our.
That's okay.
That's the whole point. We want the
whatever.
coverage. Yeah, we want to be able to get the preview.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not an unreasonable thing to want.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I use a lot of this stuff pretty heavily, including the Xbox Music stuff. So, getting a chance to see what they were doing there would be very interesting to me. Of course.
That would be. I would.
I'm
love
pretty
to
sure
see
no one else who saw it wrote a book about Xbox Music, but maybe I'm mistaken. Anyway. So, whatever. They make their own decisions.
I hope Paul and I are both going to Tech Ed next week, and I'm hoping maybe we'll have a chance to see it there. Maybe they'll have it in the booth, or somebody will show it to us there. So hopefully we'll have more.
Positive that's going to be the case. Yeah.
What day is Tech Ed?
It starts Monday, June 3rd.
Okay, so
it's Monday, like Monday.
Monday. So a week from today, we'll probably have something to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, good. I shall tune in. I shall tune in. I'm just looking at the notes here. Let's do a couple more stories and we'll take a break.
Yeah.
Because I have another advertiser, I'm happy to say.
Yeah.
You're going to be interested, Mary Jo, I believe. But go ahead.
Nice.
What's
Oh,
next?
how about the Surface story? Should we talk about this?
256 gigs.
I know.
I would
This was
buy
crazy.
that.
Yeah, so Microsoft is going to roll out a 256 gig Surface Pro in Japan on June 7th. They didn't announce this on the Surface blog. They just kind of dropped it in a press release out of Microsoft Japan. And there are a few interesting things about it as well. My most interesting thing that I took away was they're bundling Office with this. And so if you know, Surface Pro does not bundle Office. Surface RT does, but Surface Pro does not. And it's going to be a version of Office Home and Business, I believe.
Yeah,
so that's going to come
weird
free.
version too. Yeah.
Wow. Now I'm really interested.
I know. Yep. So
Japan only?
Yeah, so far Japan only, though the press release, if you put it through translator, implies that it's going to come to other countries. And Microsoft's not saying which ones or when, but it sounds like this is just the first country that this is going to launch in.
Well, presumably because it's a premium, because they're putting a lot more storage in it, the premium can also cover a license for Windows.
Right, you would think.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. It's interesting because I think they want to push everybody to subscription, right?
Yeah.
So this is kind of contrary to that. Yeah.
Right.
I understand why they bundle Office and RT, because the Surface RT, it's kind of a, come on, buy it. But to put it in Pro,
yeah. Very
interesting.
Is it something about the
wonder.
Japanese market, you think?
Right. It supposedly is a custom. One of my friends who works for LiveSide, who broke the story, said custom version for Japan. I don't know if that means the same way there's a custom SKU for China, or if it means there's any localization specific to Japan.
Well, one of the nice things about releasing this in Japan is nobody can buy it in the States unless you read Japanese, because the language is so different and it's not a Roman alphabet, so it's not
they have a different word for everything, Leo.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say hello. So
a different character set.
Yeah, so that's the kind of localization that kind of discourages importation, so to speak.
Yeah. Right. But it's going to be very interesting to see when they roll out 256 gig Surfaces in other places, if it comes with Office, right?
Yeah.
We don't know.
I bet it doesn't, but if you look at the pricing, the price difference between, am I getting this right?
What is the price on the 256? Do we know?
Well, it's roughly $1,200. It was a little under $1,200.
Owie.
But the 128 version of the Surface Pro in the United States is $999. So you pay $100 to go from 64 to 128. It makes sense you'd pay $200 to go from 128 to 256. Okay. It kind of rolls into the right area. I mean, I personally, by this point, I don't know, I don't have any idea what they're doing, but you like to think like there's a Haswell version coming. Maybe wait for that.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Speaking of which,
yes.
Microsoft announced that people who attend Tech Ed will be able to buy Surface devices at Crazy Eddie pricing, $99 for a Surface RT, 64 gigabytes with is it a touch cover or a type cover? One of the covers.
Touch.
Touch cover.
What?
Yep.
What?
It's 99 bucks.
What?
99 bucks. What?
I know. They're clearing out some inventory, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. A Surface Pro is going to go for $399, 128 gig version. No type cover.
No cover.
I mean, if you bought
crazy.
a type cover today,
it's $129.
It would cost more than the Surface.
Where do I get this?
You have to
go to Tech Ed New Orleans next week. You're limited one Surface Pro or one Surface RT and one Surface RT per person.
So you guys going to buy it?
Just buy one of each. Just to,
would you? Pick me one.
Well, I assume we can't. So I don't think they're going to let the press do it.
Yep, we can. I checked.
Oh, we can. Okay. So I mean, I might just buy one of each. I mean, just because they're great devices, they're just too expensive.
I dropped mine, and so I really want to.
Oh yeah, you need one.
Somebody told me that I could get it fixed for $300.
We could strike a little deal here.
Would you like a broken one?
No, that's not
a mere $150. That's great. Wow, that's so it's for developers, really. It's a developer thing.
Well, IT pros, really. I mean, I think the goal is they want to look out in the keynote and see a sea of
sure they do,
and
they will. We saw a sea of pixels at Google I/O.
Yeah.
Right. Just like in the real world.
Everywhere you look.
Yeah, they'll probably do something similar, though they haven't said what, for Tech Ed Europe and maybe for Build. There could be a store at Build, too, where they offer some kind of a really cheap deal. As well as you get giveaways.
So welcome for them to do that, yeah.
How much does it cost to get into Tech Ed? Is it expensive?
I think it's like $1,300, $1,500.
Yeah, okay, so, you know.
But still, I mean, imagine, but most people who go to Tech Ed aren't paying for it personally, like the company.
No, company buys it.
So you have convinced your company to go to Tech Ed, and now you personally can get this tablet for a great deal. But put another way, even if you had paid for it, let's say it's $1,500. You know, that tablet normally costs $1,000 or more.
Right.
The Surface Pro. So when you combine the fact that you've gone to Tech Ed and you're getting this kind of deal, it's nice. It's even if you paid for that Tech Ed ticket price personally, it's a nice deal. It's a nice thing to get.
It's a nice deal.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It is.
Windows 8 costs more than this. I mean, just the software.
It's clearly special deal, subsidized deal.
Yeah. I do think they're clearing it out, by the way. And actually, maybe I should say it a different way. I hope this means they're clearing it out, because that would suggest that we're going to see
new ones.
Yeah, I hope that's what is happening.
All right.
Yeah.
What would you see? Well, what would you see in a new Surface?
We know the next Tegra is coming the fall, right? So that would make sense for the RT device. And then the Haswell chipset is just making its way out into the
Windows
8
Pro
ecosystem.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that would be great for the Pro. That would, the battery life of the Pro is 5 hours if you're lucky. If we take Intel at its word, that suggests that the battery life of the Haswell version would be 7.5 hours. Yeah. That would be perfectly acceptable.
50% better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, I think Haswell's going to really stimulate the market in a lot of ways for mobile.
Yeah.
Right.
An analyst.
That's right. I'm just going to let Mary Jo take this one.
His name
Leo
is.
Mary Jo's kind of an attack dog, Leo. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Rick Sherland.
Disagreeing with people.
He's a software analyst at Nomura Securities. Says sell.
Right. Run away.
He actually it's neutral rating. He didn't say sell. But he did boost the target price to $38.32. That's good, right? This is all positive. Yeah. Neutral. Is somebody saying sell?
Okay, so Rick Sherland, for those of you who don't know Rick Sherland, I bet Leo knows him, though, because he's been around a long time like we have. He is one of the original Microsoft Wall Street analysts. Like he's one of the guys who helped bring Microsoft public when Microsoft went public. He worked for Goldman Sachs back then, and he really knows Microsoft, okay? So when he says something, it's not some random Wall Street guy just mouthing off. So he put out a report this week saying, you know what? I think Microsoft needs to sell off Bing, which a lot of Wall Street analysts have said in the past.
Exit search.
Or sell off Xbox. And I think because I sense some shareholder discontent growing that Microsoft's going to be pressured to do this because it would be good for shareholder returns for them to do this.
Oh, that's a bad reason.
I was actually surprised he did this because if you if you have been following Microsoft lately, you know they're in the midst of trying to remake themselves as a devices and services company. So they can't sell Bing. They're integrating that into everything. We just talked about how they're integrating it into Windows, right? They're integrating it into Xbox. And Xbox is one of their key devices in the new devices and services world. So I think, it's just total kind of crazy talk on his part because this is never going to happen. I can say very, very confidently. I won't say absolutely never, but I would be stunned if Microsoft sold Bing or Xbox at this point. But yeah, they got a lot of attention because it was him, because it was Rick Sherland saying this. And, a lot of people pointed out there have been so many Wall Street analysts saying Microsoft should dump online services. It's a black hole. They're in there, guys. They are tying Bing into everything that they make, and they're not going to be selling that off anytime. I mean, he even said maybe they should give Bing away to Yahoo or Facebook and let them run it. Yeah,
like a charity.
Give it away?
Yeah, he's like, if you can't sell it, just give it away. Let them run it, and then you guys get some returns through ads or something. And I'm just like, they're never going to do this. They are never going to do this.
Really?
I don't know. So it got a lot of play. It got a lot of consideration. He ended up raising his estimate for Microsoft, saying he thinks there's going to be some changes there. And I think there's going to be changes too, but I think it's going to be more like a reorg. It's not going to be like, hey, let's sell Xbox.
No, that's never going to happen. That's like, I think we can safely say that's never going to happen.
I think not, but
no way, no how.
By the way, speaking of reorg, the Frank Shaw post that we alluded to earlier, I actually, when I saw the headline of that, wondered if that's what he was about to say.
Oh.
Because the headline says the future is killer devices connected to amazing cloud services. And Microsoft has already said, we're a devices and services company. I mean, here it comes, but it was about the iPad.
I think he was setting the stage perhaps for a reorg.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
When you say reorg, we're talking the executive office, that kind of thing.
Yeah, because how Microsoft's organized right now is like Windows, server and tools.
Just moving the deck chairs around.
Right. And so
Microsoft has... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, now that they talk about themselves as a device and services company, wouldn't it make more sense if you had a division that was devices and one that was services?
Yeah,
like that kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I think it makes sense that they have approximately 20,000 corporate vice presidents. So, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
I just had a little addition to the possibility of Microsoft selling off Xbox, there was an interesting story in the New York Times this week about Sony, and they said, guess what? Guess where Sony makes all their money? And the answer is insurance.
What?
That Sony's electronics business has lost $8.5 billion over the past decade.
Jeez.
But Sony's insurance company, which operates in the Far East, not here in the United States, so we don't know about it, has made over $9 billion in profits in the past decade. It is their biggest business.
It's keeping the other ones afloat.
So another analyst, not Rick Sherland, but someone else, has said, Sony really, if they're really serious about actually being a for-profit corporation, should just get rid of their electronics business. It's an albatross. Like it's never done. It's not working out for them. And Xbox in many ways is that kind of a business for Microsoft as well, of course. But unlike Sony, I would say Microsoft has done a better job of integrating technologies across their businesses, whereas Sony is even worse than Microsoft in this regard. The famous org chart with all the guns pointing at each other. I mean, Sony is way worse in that regard than Microsoft ever was. I just thought that was kind of funny. Microsoft needs to get into insurance.
Yeah, apparently. That would solve the problem.
Don't give them any ideas, Paul.
It's all insurance. It's the future.
IDC says
insurance as a service.
That's a service.
IaaS. They can call it IaaS.
IaaS, insurance as a service. I'm liking it.
I like it.
IaaS. Let's see here. PC sales. It's been a bad year. It's not over yet.
Leo, do you have one of those soundboards with a toilet flushing sound? Yeah, like sad trombone kind of thing. I'm a little suspicious of IDC because they keep changing their numbers, but the basic gist of this is just that that, PC sales, I think their original forecast was that they would fall through the middle of 2013 and then would recover by the end of 2013. No, they're going to fall actually through 2014, although next year won't be the bloodbath that this year will be. And then they'll go back up again, but they'll never come anywhere close to where they were at their height, I think, which was maybe 2006 off the top of my head, something like that. But, it's still a big business, over 300 million units and so forth, but it's not on that regular upward trajectory that we were always on for a while there. Well, forever there, actually. But anyway, but
now that the iPad's a PC, I think we can see a turnaround.
So according to IDC, tablet sales will surpass those of notebook PC sales sometime this year.
Wow.
And then I think by the end of the year or next year, we'll surpass, or I'm sorry, maybe it was by 2017, we'll surpass all PC sales. But actually, according to NPD, and granted, NPD only measures the United States, but as sort of a bellwether maybe for the rest of the world from a technology adoption standpoint, tablet sales surpassed those of notebook sales in May of last year. So that has actually already happened. And again, largely because of those mini tablets, interestingly, which was the surge that put them over the top. Well, that and Windows 8 came out and everyone hated it, I guess. So that's what they tell me.
Let's see, what else? What do you
But
want?
yeah, I want to talk about Paul's post on mini tablets. I want to talk more about, because I think this is really interesting. So many people are kind of holding up mini tablets as the savior now, and they're saying, they're saying Windows 8. Okay, they haven't done that well, but once they are out on a 7-inch or a 5-inch, everything's going to be different.
Do they mean Surface or Windows 8?
They mean Windows 8 and Windows RT mini.
Yeah,
tablets.
that's it. That's what's missing from Windows 8 lineup is an 8-inch tablet.
I mean, there are going to be these things, right? These are coming.
So here's the problem. I aside from the specifics, which I will get to, this reminds me of Windows Phone. And when Windows Phone came out, remember, Windows Phone was too late. That was the big story at first. It's too late. If they had just done this 2 years ago, 3 years ago, this would have made a big difference. Okay. Well, Windows Phone doesn't have apps. It doesn't have multitasking in the beginning. It doesn't have cut and paste. I'd adopt Windows Phone if it just had copy and paste. So, it doesn't have BitLocker. It doesn't have device encryption. It doesn't have, various policies that I need for Exchange Active Sync, whatever. As these things are added to Windows Phone over the 3 years that have gone by, the story, we're always fixating on the next thing. It doesn't have this. It doesn't have that, And I feel like the mini tablet thing is that for Windows 8, where, Blue will fix Windows 8. Okay, well, Haswell will fix Windows 8. People would buy Windows 8 tablets if it was running Haswell. Mini tablets will fix Windows 8. We're always looking at the next thing, like what's the thing that's going to put this over the top? And it's kind of a dangerous mindset to get into. But I came across some Microsoft internal documentation about mini tablets coming from OEMs, meaning Microsoft's partners, not from Microsoft itself. And when you look out at the holiday season that's coming out, there are 3 of them coming. 3. Like 3 different devices. We already know what at least one of them is because Amazon mistakenly put it in their store briefly.
Which one was that? HTC?
The Acer. The Acer one.
Acer.
Yeah. It's actually the picture in the article.
Okay.
It's from the Amazon website. I don't.
And then what are the others? HTC is one, right?
I don't know. I don't know. Nokia. I mean, I don't even know who can say. What's amazing though is there are 35 new Windows 8 tablet designs coming from third parties this year, like non-Microsoft. Only 3 of them are going to be these mini tablets. And by the way, only 2 of them are going to sell for what I would call an acceptable price point, which is $300 to $400. In fact, lower would be better, especially in an age where you can buy an Amazon tablet for like $150 or whatever it is, $199. I think this is the problem. And the volume of the tablet market is kind of doing to Microsoft what Microsoft did to the PC market, which is these really low-end devices selling for next to nothing are what people are buying because they're so cheap. Like, we can afford to buy these things. They're like little chiclets or something, And I don't see Microsoft competing in this market, except, by the way, at TechEd when they're selling the Surface RT for $99, which is hilarious. So that's interesting. I mean, I just think it's important to note that mini tablets, I think, are important to Windows. I think it's important that they're there. But honestly, if we're speaking honestly about this, when you look at ecosystems and so forth, you want content, movies and TV shows and apps and games. I mean, if you're going to buy a mini tablet today, it's kind of a no-brainer. You're going to pick an iPad or an Android tablet because that's where all that stuff is. And, you know, the Windows stuff will improve over time, but that's the Windows Phone problem again. It's the same thing. It's going to get better. It has gotten better, but it hasn't really changed anything. I know. I'm so negative.
I like, and I'm a fan of the iPad mini, and I like 8-inch. I like,
Yeah, no, I think these are the right.
It's not going to change the world. I don't understand why anybody would even presume that.
I want one. I want.
Yeah, you'll love it.
8 mini. I do.
Yeah, it's a great form factor.
But I know what it's going to be for, and I'm not thinking I'm going to run Excel on it.
Yeah,
I think I'll be able to, but I don't want it.
finance office will be running on 8-inch tablets.
Yeah.
Nothing like an Excel spreadsheet on an 8-inch screen. That's.
By the way, there's nothing like an Excel spreadsheet on a 4-inch screen. You can do it today in Windows Phone.
Yep, you can.
You wouldn't want to.
You can, Leo. This thing supports an astronomical number of functions. It's amazing. It's really small, but I mean, it's sub mini. You might call it.
As long as you don't have big spreadsheets, little tiny spreadsheets are fine.
It's good for lists.
Yeah,
to-do
lists, shopping lists,
it's like that.
No, I'm just teasing you. That's one of the real advantages Windows Phone has. Is Office is you can run.
It is
Office
actually pretty unique. It's not anywhere else. Office Mobile. That's it.
Speaking of Office,
wait, I'm sorry, we didn't get to the phablet thing.
Phablets, yes.
The other industry trend. You have to. It's funny when you look at this year. Mini tablets, obviously a big deal, but also phablets. Phablets being these smartphones that have really large screens, like the Note 2 or even the Galaxy S4 that just came out.
It's a 5-inch.
Gigantic screen.
I guess it's sort of big, yeah.
Big. The assumption is that this is where all the growth is. The assumption is that Apple is struggling now because they don't have a screen this big. The assumption is that Nokia is going to come out with a phablet, which actually, by the way, they are. But this is supposed to be like the biggest thing in the world. But what's interesting, and this is just the United States, but when you look at smartphone screens. Hello. So let me try this again. When you look at smartphone sales by screen size, right? That segment, phablets, meaning 5 inches and above, is the tiniest segment of the market by far. And it's growing, but as of the first quarter of 2013, it's like 5% of all smartphone sales. 5%. A year ago, it was maybe 1.5%, and 6 months ago, it was maybe 2.5%. So it is growing, but 4.5 to 4.9 inch screens, 4 to 4.4 or under 4 inch screens, those three, the smaller sizes, actually split the market almost.
Right. That's the iPhone and the Galaxy S3. I mean, that's like
so. Actually,
this
actually excludes iPhone.
iPhone's 4.
It excludes iPhone.
Oh.
This data. So phablets, for the phone types that have phablet options, phablets are not a huge deal at all.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of hype around it, but it hasn't actually translated into actual market share. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Because it goes kind of contrary to what we've heard.
Right. It is a growing market, though.
Yeah, shows insurance in Japan. So
apparently, yeah.
Yeah. But yes, it is a growing market.
If only there were a Windows Phone phablet, all would be well.
That's what I keep saying. This is the one thing that's going to put us over the top. Why does nobody listen to me?
Office 3.
And it will have copy and paste.
Yes.
Big copy and paste.
Office 365 Home Premium. This is the new subscription version. Which I am a proud subscriber to. Doing all right.
Yeah.
Is that all right? Is that 1 million users? Is that a good number for an Office product? Seems low.
Well,
I think it's good given it took them 100 days to get to a million.
Yeah.
Or 3.5 months or whatever the exact number of days is.
Right. They described it as the fastest selling version, right?
And you know what? The wording around that was so ambiguous. It's hard to tell what they meant there, right?
Right.
I can't tell if they mean Office 2013, which is a local version, plus this subscription was the fastest selling version, or what?
Actually, so somewhere there's a footnote that explains that it's all of
there
those
probably
things.
is. Yeah. But I was actually like, okay, $1 million. That's not bad. That's a pretty decent clip, because a lot of people were very skeptical they were going to be able to sell this as a subscription. It's only $99 a year. You get to put it on your Office apps on 5 PCs and or Macs in combination. So it sounds pretty good. But a lot of people still have this thing like, I don't want to rent my software, which is kind of what you're doing with this.
Sure.
I want to own it. And so for people who were skeptical about that, they're saying they're never going to sell these subscriptions. It's never going to work.
But it's
working.
funny because Adobe got a lot of heat for moving everybody to the Creative Cloud, doing the same thing.
Yep.
Well,
I don't see
Adobe didn't offer choice. I mean, in other words,
they did, but they don't anymore. Yeah.
Right.
That's what I mean. In other words,
Yeah.
their big announcement this year was, we're only doing this going forward.
Right.
And it's like, Microsoft, they've tilted the deck in favor of subscription, but they do offer that.
And I think you're right. I think there'd been a lot of heat if they'd said, that's it, subscription only.
Yeah.
However,
Well,
having
still-
said that, I love the subscription. It
do
doesn't
too.
bother me at all. $99 a year is a fair price. I get a lot for it. I think it's a good deal.
I think it's a great deal.
Yeah.
Personally, but I like to spend money. So
I think it's cheaper than what I was spending because it's on 5. I have it on 3 computers, but that's a pretty good deal.
I think once you hit the 2 or more, you're in the target
Sweet
zone.
spot. Yeah. And finally, trailing thoughts about the Xbox One.
Well, I'm just curious because my understanding is you do other podcasts.
I have a few.
Petaluma location. Has the Xbox One been a topic of discussion anywhere?
Pretty much nonstop? Yes.
Okay. So what have you heard, Leo? I'm just curious because I'm in my own little Microsoft bubble world here. But what are we talking about?
We did live coverage of the event, and my initial reaction is I can't wait to get one.
Yep.
I think this is the right product. I said, yeah, they didn't talk about games, but I wouldn't expect them to because that's for E3. I also pointed out, and I do believe this is to be true, that the console gaming has become somewhat commoditized. Yes, each side has exclusives, but really it's somewhat commoditized. You don't buy unless you're a fan of the Xbox, which you are, so I'll speak as a normal person. You buy
Thank you for differentiating.
you buy it depending on other stuff. I'm going to presume that I can play Call of Duty on both. I'm going to presume I can play BioShock Infinite on both. The real question is Gears of War, I have to have an Xbox. But the real question to me is not that. Which exclusive titles do they have? Gaming has been commoditized. It's not even which one is better for gaming. Especially now, x86 on both, the presumption is they'll be identical. So the real question is, what else you got for me? And I think Microsoft showed a very compelling set of features with live TV, with Kinect. I think that's a Skype. To me, as an NFL fan, the NFL integration looked very intriguing. I thought they showed a great product. It made me want to buy one. And I know that a lot of gamers were very unhappy. I thought,
and that's what I don't understand because I do come at it from kind of a gamer perspective. I use my own Xbox 360 primarily to play games. I mean, like 99%.
Right. Me too.
People are talking about, it's nice to have Netflix on there. And okay, sure. I have been really kind of dumbstruck by the reaction I've seen from gamers. That really, really disappointed, and to me are really, really disappointing. Because to me, their little rollout schedule makes sense. And that they should understand, I think this is my own opinion, they should understand that as a relatively small market, they should be happy that Microsoft is going after a bigger market so that Microsoft will continue making that thing that they love. That games being snubbed supposedly this initial launch, which I don't think they were, is just an indication of them going after a mass market, what they perceive to be hopefully a mass market of customers, and that's the right thing to do strategically. That it's not going to take away from the Call of Duty exclusives they're still going to have and BioShock Infinity, like you were saying. It's those things are automatic. I just find that kind of negativity to be misplaced.
And people focus on a few things in the chat room. They're saying, well, Sony's...
Joe just went into a coma.
Yeah.
No, I actually
Sorry, Mary Jo.
No, you know what I was thinking about this as you guys were talking? I'm like, it's because gamers they don't understand the whole Microsoft thinking about disclosure, right? Like Microsoft wants to have as many press events about this Xbox One as they can.
Right.
They're going to trickle the news out. Like at E3, they're not going to talk about TV. They're going to talk about games. But people who aren't journalists or bloggers, they probably don't know this. Like they're just like, oh, they didn't show any games, so there's no games. It's just the way people think.
There'll be plenty of games. There'll be the same number of games as there are.
There will, and more.
And more.
You know, I know.
So the little differences are, the PS4 will have better graphics. Yeah, well, let's wait and see.
Right.
That's a theoretical difference. It is a true theoretical difference, but I don't. That's not. You're not going to notice a difference. Sony has embraced the independent developer. Microsoft seemed to shun them. Well, let's wait and see on that as well.
That's coming at Build.
Right.
And by the way, this is not my idea. I read this somewhere, and I apologize. I don't remember who wrote this, but somebody wrote something I think pretty smart about this, which was that Microsoft's goal with this kind of disclosure, where they, like as Mary Jo said, kind of dribble it out over time, is to keep Microsoft and the Xbox in your mind over a much longer period of time than would have occurred if they just blurted it all out on day one. That it's actually smart for them to do it this way. This is the right way to do it. It's not like they just announced the whole kit and caboodle and now, and we'll see you next June when we release it. I mean, they want to give you information over time so that the excitement builds.
I'm really excited about Kinect. Yeah. I'm very excited. Now, I think Nilay Patel in The Verge had a very good point. The pass-through thing, promises. But remember, you're designing something that's going to be 10 years. And I think that pass-through for me is a good thing. I like that in the Google TV, the idea that I don't have to take up another HDMI port. I'll pass my cable box or satellite box into the Xbox One, which will then go on to the TV. And he pointed out, but it's kludgy getting the Xbox to control the cable box. You're going to have to use IR Blaster in many cases. Maybe, but I think HDMI will, in the long run, most cable boxes will be controllable by that. And then it will be a very nice thing because I can do things like watch live football and have stats superimposed on the screen and things like that. And I'm excited about that.
Sure.
So I think that this is all, you make the exactly right point, Mary Jo, which is that the people who are looking at this announcement, and Paul, who are looking at this announcement, don't understand this is the partial reveal that Microsoft's famous for, and you'll see a lot more.
I mean, my own readers knew this because I communicated this is exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I spelled this out.
I'm pissed off if they didn't release the Illumina Room, but hey, I love
that
Illumina
one actually
Room.
bugs me because I
want that.
I heard from a very reliable source that was actually in the walkthrough for the show they did, and they didn't demonstrate it. But the way he described it is, clearly a Illumina Room, and it sounded very interesting.
So maybe that's interesting. So maybe the Illumina Room is not a feature. Maybe that's
it may be E3, right?
That
might be
feature.
the big
boom. Boy, would that be a reveal at E3?
Sure. Okay, fair enough. I was actually going to go somewhere else. I was going to say maybe it's like the Xbox One's Kinect that it comes out a couple of years down the road.
Or maybe that.
Yeah, it's still a research project. Illumina Room is not even a product. It's a research project right now. Like they're showing it, but it's coming. It's coming at some point in the future, but so far it's not even on the product roadmap. As far as I understand how Microsoft Research hands off stuff to the teams. But maybe we're wrong. Maybe it's closer, but I think it's still research at this point.
Very interesting. I thought it was just kind of highly speculative, so that's encouraging because I love that.
Well, I mean, the Illumina Room as currently devised basically involves duct taping a projector to your Kinect. So
I'll do anything.
They kind of need to work on that part of it.
So for those who don't know, you can see it on YouTube. There's lots of places you can see the video. It's really cool. The idea is you're playing on the big screen still, but there is kind of a phantom projection all around you of the other stuff you're watching. It's like surround sound for a game. And just out of the corner of your eye, you see the leaves move or something and something. I mean, I think that would be don't you, Paul, wouldn't Call of Duty be awesome with an Illumina Room?
Call of Duty's awesome, period. But yeah, that would make it even awesomer.
But
right?
what about the dog? Are you happy about that?
I would be happier with a cat, because let's face it,
Yeah.
Killer cat.
they have like these kill streak things in Call of Duty where you can send in like little airstrikey type things. And I think sending in the cats would be so awesome. You know,
That's
it would
a
just be
mod.
awesome.
We'll save that for a
It would
mod.
just be lots of cat scratches and stuff. It would be. So
Are there any
excellent.
mods? Are there Call of Duty mods?
No, but there should be, because that would be an awesome one right there.
Have you ever played Gary's mod for, I guess it's Half-Life or Counter-Strike? It's so much fun. You could do all.
Sounds really familiar.
Yeah, it's on Steam. Get it for fun. It's just for fun.
Okay.
You can shoot weird. I mean, it's crazy.
It's like in the old days, they had the Doom mods. Where you,
Yeah, and I bet you there's a cat mod in that.
but it needs to be
One
done
of
right.
our
Like, in other words,
listeners-
like when you get attacked, the cat needs to be in your face,
Right.
like, you know, scratching frantically at your face, just messing
I
you up.
love
you
this.
know?
One of our listeners, Jeff Fritz, says, I don't want a Luma room unless I can have Excel spreadsheets all over my walls.
You can. You know what?
Good.
There we go.
You will.
That would make the little screen of Windows Phone, you know, be more acceptable. It could like bleed out into the room around you.
Spreadsheet, you're up here.
Well, you could look. I need to get over there. I just like swipe over until I get to it.
That'd be kind of awesome. They should demo that.
I love Aluminum. I also love it that they have built in a 1080p camera and it comes with the Xbox. I don't love the design, I know you don't either, Paul. You were kind of snarky about it during the rollout, but what the hell? It's going to be
Snarky.
me. What? But it's going to be in a cabinet. I don't care. You know, I'm excited. I cannot wait to buy one. I'm thrilled that they put Blu-ray in it. I know I don't play a lot of Blu-ray movies, but right now, half the reason I have a PlayStation 3 is to watch Blu-ray.
Right.
So, anyway. Hey, we're going to take a break. We got your picks, your tips, your stuff, and I wanted to show you an advertiser. I don't think we've talked about it on this show before. We've talked about it on other shows called Warby Parker. You ever hear of them?
No.
Okay, they're kind of hot right now. They are a startup for selling glasses. Now, Mary Jo, you're going to be interested in this. You probably go down to Oliver Peoples and pick up your fine, fancy frames, because I know you're very stylish.
That's me.
But you can get boutique quality, classically crafted eyewear.
Classically trained.
Classically trained eyewear for a very revolutionary price now from Warby Parker. This is a startup to change the way we buy glasses, and I think this is so exciting. So if you're tired of the kind of overpriced, bland eyewear you get from your eye doctor, or, and I don't know how to say this diplomatically, the monopoly in eyewear that has driven prices up to $300, $400, $500, $600 for a pair of glasses, there is a better option. And it's this. It's Warby Parker. And I really like how you might say, well, how am I going to buy glasses by mail? Well, here's how it works. You go onto the Warby Parker site, WARBYPARKER.com, and use the offer code Windows, by the way, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Here, let me pull it up. And you pick out what you like. But then you're not done, because they're going to send you the sampler. This is the sampler I got with the glasses that you picked out so you can try them on. Now, I was looking for prescription sunglasses, so I got a variety of these really great styles and so forth. And then you go through them, you pick the one you want, and then you send it back. It's got a prepaid postage mailer on it, and you will get the glasses you want. So you've tried them before you buy them, and I love this idea. Warby Parker has great stylish glasses at an amazing price, and for every pair purchased, they give a pair to someone in need, which I think is really great. They are really a great startup. Glasses start at $95, including lenses. All glasses include, for the price, anti-reflective and anti-glare coating, a beautiful hard case. I'll show you the case. I don't have my glasses with me. They're in the car, and I left the case in the car, unfortunately. But they come with a beautiful case. It's just really nice. And you get everything you need at one price. You try them all for free with the home try-on. So go to warbyparker.com. You're going to choose 5 pairs of glasses. They send them out to you. You saw the try-on kit I had. And that includes a special frame box and a prepaid shipping label, so it's easy to pop it back in the mail. You can even take a photo, if you want, of yourself and put it and share it in the social world, which is really awesome. Choose the frames you want. Warby Parker takes care of the rest. They even call your eye doctor, get your prescription. That's what they did for me, which was awesome. They make buying glasses fun, fast, easy, and pain-free. Plus, you're giving back, which is really, really neat. Try the free home try-on. When you decide to purchase, enter the code WINDOWS. You'll get expedited shipping. The turnaround will be instant. Let's pick out some glasses for Paul. Do you wear glasses?
Yeah, I have horrific vision.
I love it that they've done a deal with the Superman movie, the Man of Steel movie, so you can get Clark Kent glasses.
Yeah.
Aren't these great? Aren't these great? I'm
psyched because I hate shopping for glasses.
Oh, I know. Tell you what, you tell me if you want to do this, Mary Jo. We'll set you up so you can do it all yourself, and we'll get you a free pair of frames just so that you can talk about it next time they're on. Because I just think this is really great. And I love the buy a pair, give a pair. That's
I like that too.
Isn't that nice? And nice. Paul, you might be interested in the monocle. They do offer.
I'm listening.
A monocle, $50, including prescription lens. It says lenses here, but really it's just one. And the coatings and everything are free, and you get free shipping and 30-day returns. Warby Parker, you can just add it to your home try-on. Oh, they're all out with customers at the moment. This is a very popular item. I love it. Warby Parker, WARBYPARKER.com. Use the offer code WINDOWS for expedited shipping. This is kind of an unusual advertiser, but I love it. And we all wear glasses, I mean, this is you're wearing contacts, Paul? Is that the deal?
Yeah.
Or are you just blind during the show?
Yeah.
No, I'm wearing
contacts.
What do you mean,
Mary Jo?
Yeah.
I'm wearing contacts too. But I left them in the car. Beautiful pair of Warby Parker tortoiseshell shades. Love them. Prescription glasses. WarbyParker.com. All right, let's move on. Tip of the week, Mr. Paul Thurrott. Do you have one?
I do. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong window. I was just making sure I wasn't disinvited to Tech Ed. All right, so
Mr. Thurrott, it has come to our attention.
Yeah, you thought you were going to New Orleans next week, huh? No. All right, so what I have this week is two sets of software picks instead of a tip and a pick.
All right.
The first one, and they're all Windows Phone 8 related. I apologize. Somebody complained that I only have Windows Phone software picks recently. Sorry about that. Microsoft just updated their Windows Phone 8 desktop sync application. If you're familiar with Windows Phone 8, you may know that there's a Metro version of this app and there's a desktop version of the app. And they actually don't function identically. The Metro version is not just like a Metro version of the desktop app. They actually work in slightly different ways. So depending on your needs, you may actually want to have both of them on your computer. The desktop version does things like sync with iTunes. So, for example, if you want to, you can use iTunes to subscribe to podcasts. You can sync them to the device. It's not hugely important in the United States because we have on-device support for podcast subscriptions, but in other parts of the world, they don't, and that's actually a big feature. The problem is a lot of people who use Windows Phone and Windows don't want to use iTunes, and so there's been a lot of grousing about that. And so the main feature of this updated version of the application is that you can use any other app to subscribe to podcasts. And most podcast apps, whether they're Metro apps or desktop apps, will save those podcasts to some folder, or some set of folders somewhere. And what you can do with this app now is point the podcasts sync to that folder and say, I want to sync podcasts from there. And then you can choose which ones to sync, and it just works. And so that's kind of a big deal for those of us that didn't want to use iTunes for podcasts. So obviously that app is free, and you can get it from, I didn't put it in here, sorry, but it's windowsphone.com. It's available from here. And then the second software pick is just kind of continuing a theme I've had over past couple of, or several weeks. There's been a lot of Windows Phone 8 apps and games coming out recently. For some reason, it seems like they're just coming and coming and coming. And over the past week or so, there's been a bunch of new ones. And I list them here in the show notes, but Rayman Jungle Run, which is a great game, Splash Top 2, which is an app that allows you to connect to your computers using sort of remote desktop over your phone, which requires a subscription service, but it's not very expensive. A bunch of EA games. Microsoft pulled out Trivial Pursuit for some reason, but actually I think the best game in this list might be NBA Jam, which is that classic arcade game, where it says he's on fire and the guy jumps in the air with fire.
Love that game.
Yeah, that game's on Windows Phone now. It's awesome. Angry Birds Rio came out, I think, last week. It's 99 cents, so that kind of completes the Angry Birds thing on Windows Phone. We didn't have all the games, but now I think we do. And Shazam, which is a free app that helps you, find out what's playing currently. I will point out on the Shazam front that Windows Phone actually has built-in functionality that does the same thing as Shazam. But if you're a Shazam user,
Shazam's cool, and the new Shazam does TV shows as well as music.
Sure.
So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
So available now.
Hey,
on
it's
Windows
available.
Phone.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I forgot about NBA Jam.
I know. I'm psyched about
What a
that one. I
great
usually
game.
the game list. It's like, whatever. But NBA, I would look through the list and I was like, NBA Jam. That's an awesome game.
I don't know how that will be on a phone, but I'll try it right away. That's cool.
It's good. No, it's good. It's actually pretty good on the phone.
Enterprise Pick of the Week, Mary Jo Foley.
Yes. So we had heard about this a while back that Microsoft was planning to have Lync and Skype integrate and be able to communicate between the two different services. And this week, they rolled out phase 1 of that integration. So now you can add your Skype contacts to Lync and vice versa. You can initiate an audio call or an instant message between Lync and Skype. The catches here are that so far it's just the Windows and Mac desktops that are supported as clients. So they still have to add like the Windows Phone and other platforms like iOS and Android and all that. And this is just phase 1 of the integration. So no video connectivity between the Lync and Skype yet. That's supposed to be mid-2014 or something around that time frame. You also have to have a Microsoft account, which for listeners and viewers of this show is not a big deal. But
Do I have to convert my Skype account over to my Microsoft account? I guess I probably do.
I could answer that.
Okay.
Good, answer that.
The question was, do you need to convert it to Microsoft account?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In order to
you
use
do
this-
have to log in with the Microsoft account for this to work.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But you could create a new Skype account if you wanted. I've resisted.
You don't have to. No, you don't have to. There's no conversion. You can just connect the accounts, and then what you do is you log in with your Microsoft account.
Right.
You
But
still
it's
have
still
access
your
to all
Skype
your.
account. Okay.
Yep, it's
All
all
right.
still there.
Okay.
Yep.
No reason
Yeah,
not
I
to
tried
do
it
that.
out with somebody this
Right.
week, and
Okay.
it works quite well.
Good.
Yep.
Good. Yeah, we want to really start using a Lync server in here for when we use Skype. Give you guys the option of choosing.
Yeah, it's going to be next year probably based on the schedule, but
Yeah, our guy at Microsoft said he was going to help us out. Might be able to get us something early. I don't know.
I love Lync.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to. Well,
Yeah.
what we would do is run a Lync server here. You can still Skype, but we could by hosting it would make it much more reliable.
Yes.
All right. Yes, and there's more, Mary Jo.
Yep.
Your code name.
Code names. So this week I'm going to do 2 code names because they're connected. So this was actually a cool tip I got from someone. So we all knew the code name of Xbox One was Durango. Everybody kind of knew that.
It's spelled
But
with
we
a J. The D is silent, right? Yeah. Okay.
Django? No.
Durango.
But we didn't know, at least I didn't know, the code names of the controller and the Kinect, the second version of Kinect. And the code name for the controller was Argos, and the code name for the new Kinect is Petra. So I've been trying to find out, like, okay, what's the connection between these things?
Well, Argos and Petra have a connection, but Durango has no connection to this.
No, but so is the Argos and Petra connection some kids game?
No, this is like Greek myth type stuff. Like Petra is the word for rock in Greek, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And Argos, of course, is the famous Greek myth. So
Argosy,
I think those things are related.
I looked up Petra and Argos together, and a kid's game came up, Petra's Planet, that has a character named Argos, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if it's that.
For trivia fans, Petra was a terrible Christian rock band from the 1980s.
Right? Yep.
So
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Petra was the Kinect, and Argos is the controller. If you ever see references to those 2 things.
I think Paul's got it. There's a Greek.
Yeah,
there's a
it's gotta
Greek
be, right?
connection there.
it's a Greek myth thing. Yeah.
It's got to be.
Argos was a ship, right? The
The Argosy.
Jason and the Argonauts.
JC and the Argonauts. Yeah.
Yep.
Huh. Wow, that's a good code name
Yeah.
combo. Durango, Petra, and Argo. And, of course, we couldn't do this show without a beer of the week.
Yep. So in honor of Blue, since today was a big day for Blue, I picked a beer that I can't remember if I picked this beer before, but I had it this week and it was so awesome. It's called Black and Blue.
This is how you've made Paul and Mary Jo feel. Black
yes,
and blue.
we're feeling blue.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Mission
Black and Blue is
accomplished.
from Dogfish Head, and they're a brewery out in Delaware. This is a beer made with blackberries and blueberries.
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
wow.
it's so good. It's so delicious. It tastes kind of like a fruit beer or a sour. It's not really sour, more like a lambic beer. And I had to pick something new because people told me in email this week that my beer picks have been too hoppy. So I wanted to pick something that was not hoppy.
Boy, you can't win, you know?
You can't win.
You can't win.
No. And I wanted to remind people going to Tech Ed again, we're having a Windows Weekly Tweet Up Beer Up on Monday, June 3rd at the Avenue Pub, Monday night. It starts at 6 and we'll be there. So Paul and I will both be there. Come on over and have some craft beers with us.
And I would like to remind people, BLUE-SHAKA-LAKA.
Boom, chaka-laka.
Which is from NBA Jam.
Right. Is it called NBA Jam on the App Store?
Yep, okay. NBA Jam.
Can't wait to get that. Avenue Pub is on St. Charles Avenue in New Orleans. I love it. And they actually are on fire. They start,
yes,
they
that's
flame.
what's excellent about it.
That's what I love about it, yeah.
That one came in from another zip code. Such a great game.
Bourbons too.
Raphael's chiming in there. From downtown. It's how basketball should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, you bring back memories. What was that on? Was that on the original Xbox?
Yeah, no, this was an arcade game, Leo. This was in the arcade game. This was actually like a stand-up cabinet game. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, I'm sure it was on.
I feel like I played it on a
something,
console. I don't remember.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure.
On a console.
Actually, let's look it up.
NBA Jam. Oh, I just found MBA Jam for people who are into business.
Not the same. Basketball arcade developed by Midway in 1993.
There it is. Oh, that's music. Wait, not music. You can get the EA soundtrack.
Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. There you go.
That's what I
Sega
played
CD,
it on.
Game Boy, Sega Game Gear.
That's what I played it on. Sega. Love my Genesis. Sega.
Awesome.
NBA Jam. Smack that.
And then they had all the awful. No.
I can't find it on the store, dude.
I do remember Kevin McHale being one of the players.
Apps plus games. I don't see it on here. Maybe you got it early.
No. It's just NBA Jam. Oh, what phone are you using?
The Nokia Lumia 928.
Oh, yeah. No, you should be able to find it. Oh, no, it's a Nokia exclusive. You have a Nokia.
Yeah, it's a Nokia exclusive. Oh,
yeah, it might be. No, it's in. No, hold on. I don't think that. I'm not sure that's true.
It's just not showing up, so I'll have to get it through the.
Sometimes
that happens in these stores. They're so big that there's this kind of staged.
There was some stupidity about like searching for stuff in Windows Phone store. I will admit to that.
There it is, $2.99. It is from Nokia. It's by Nokia. Boom shakalaka. Yeah, it says it right there on the review. Boom awesome. Shakalaka is the first word on the review.
It just
jam with your favorite stars from 30 NBA teams and over the top high flying duo.
God, this is incredible.
This is great. Boom Shakalaka. Yeah, so it's $2.99. It is from Nokia, so it might be a Nokia exclusive. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, EA is actually the company that made it, I believe.
So
but yeah, it is from Nokia. I mean, Nokia is like, they have an exclusive deal or whatever, I guess.
Let's see if they have a picture of anybody on fire. Look at that. The big heads. Oh, I love the big heads. So, like, they couldn't really do the graphics, so they just put people's heads on a body.
No, but that's awesome, because if you ever go to like an NBA game, like they have those big poster heads now that people put in front
right. Yeah, you see them now, yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
It's so great looking.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, God. Like the guy puts his like arm over his eyes while he dunks it.
He's doing that, yeah.
It's so awesome.
I'm not looking.
It is so awesome. If I did that, I would trip and fall through a window.
Very nice. Hey, we do this show on Thursdays, about 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 UTC on twit.tv. Please tune in and watch live if you can. We always love it if you do. But if you cannot, you will be more than welcome.
Boom shakalaka.
Boom shakalaka. To listen on demand, audio and video available after the fact. twit.tv/WW. I'm Kevin McHale. Thanks you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on... Is that the... that the arcade
This is
version?
also the theme song to half of the '80s comedy action movies.
Yeah.
You know, it's like like the Axel F guy. Who was the guy that made that song?
Yeah. Harold Faltermeyer.
Yes. Well,
Harold Faltermeyer does the theme from NBA Jam.
wow, this has got some nice Telekin stuff in there too.
We'll see you next time on Windows Weekly. Oh, it's a little birdie. What's a little birdie there for? Tweet, tweet.
So I'm working in my office today, and my cat's in the window, and I hear these birds outside freaking out. And you know how you hear background noise, and then eventually you're like, what the hell is going on out there? And I can see these two cardinals chasing a bird around, a little bird. So I go outside to shoo them away, and this little bird drops out of the tree and lands like in the ground next to me. So I pick it up, and that's the bird. So I'm thinking I'm saving this bird from the cardinal, you know. So I bring my wife over, take a couple pictures. This thing never leaves my hand. That's a baby cardinal, right? Exactly. Stephanie's like, you didn't just save this bird, you just kidnapped it. So,
but it's
I brought
not bright red.
No, but yeah, the more you look at it, the more you realize it is
cardinal.
actually kind
Look
of
at
reddish, and it's got like the little
got the
crest.
comb.
You know?
Yeah. No. It
The
looks
funny thing is, though, this thing, I put it down on the ground and I shoot it out of my hand, and it actually walked back into my hand. I had to leave it there.
I got bad news for you. It's imprinted.
Yeah,
You're in
Now I'm the
trouble.
daddy, yeah.
You're the daddy.
Yeah.
Who's the daddy? You're the daddy.
So I'm hoping they've stopped freaking out there, but I hope they've. I hope they've.
It's that time of year.
Yeah.
It's that time of year. We have found a little blue jay. I wonder if blue jays are ground nesters because he was sitting in the weeds.
We've had birds nest in our mailbox twice, which is hilarious.
Wow.
We have like a crook in our little tree out front that there were babies in there. We check on them every couple of days with the flashlight. You know, I put my daughter up on my shoulders, and we checked yesterday and they were gone. So they've flown out. We missed them. We missed seeing them leave, but they took off, I guess.
And how are the pigeons for you, Mary Jo?
They're just fine. They're not in my hand. Definitely not in my hand.
No, you don't want to touch them.
No, you know what pigeons do when you go too close.
I know. You know, people talk about rats with wings and stuff like that, and how don't touch pigeons. But are they any dirtier than any other bird?
Good question.
You should see my daughter. Are they any cleaner than a child?
That's a good point. Good point.
You know,
good point. Yeah.
No, the thing that's scary around here are squirrels. Squirrels are so tame here. They come running after you. They even have chased me down the street before.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and you don't want them on you either.
They're going for your nuts.
Oh, well.
oh, there you go.
They're going to be sorely disappointed in my case.
That shut her right up.
I'm so sorry. Okay, let's get this show on the road now that Leo has derailed it again.